But okay, so let's go back to you though. You're basically like in the midst of you're watching people blow up a little bit around you, hit the TV screens.
Mm-hmm.
You start
Mm-hmm.
running through it all. You start getting ingratiated into the realms of hip hop as it exists around you. Do you start battling folks and whatnot in the streets? Then is that what I'm to take from this?
Not yet, not yet. It took a while before I got there.
All right, that's
Um,
fair.
at this point is now I'm getting the courage to say, all right, I'm gonna try this. And this is now you're talking about early '90s now. Like, and this is when it's if you were into hip hop and a teenager in the early '90s, I guarantee you wrote a rhyme. That's just what happened to all of us.
You did
So
what?
that's what happened to me. You wrote a rhyme. I wrote my first rhyme
right.
during that time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, it was, and this also, you talking about now, this is when Nas, Biggie, Wu, before that, Onyx, J. Rue the Damager. It's like East Coast is doing work. And the first rumblings from Death Row started coming out at that time. So like early 90s, like 91, 92. It's funny, you mentioned OPP. Naughty was killing early 90s at the time.
Naughty by Nature was killing the 90, 91 area.
So that's when all of this, you talking about the most legendary albums in ever. So that happened. And once Wu came out, it was over. I seen Wu-Tang, I was like, all right, I'm rapping. That's it. I'm rapping. I'm going for it.
That's amazing. So how does one go for it?
You start entering open mic so back then, you can enter open mic easy. Like you just sign up for it. You go to a club and sign up for it. Go to somebody else. Go to a party anywhere in club. Sign up for it. I was doing open mics. Started doing showcases. This is when I was trying to get signed to a major also as well. So the process was a little bit different. Like we spent a lot of money. Me and Fat spent a lot of money on studio time, making demos, pitching them, taking meetings from people, that type of shit. So it was.
This is all like you're just out there grinding, trying to find like the right people, showing up, handing out your stuff.
Working a full-time job too. By the way, like working a full-time job. So, like going to work and then in your spare time, trying to connect with the people, going to the shows. It was certain clubs you can go to back then where you knew it was hip hop. We had hip hop clubs. We had Tunnel. We had Speed. We had Palladium at certain nights. It was a few spots you can go to back then, way back. So you just trying to be in it. You know where it's at. You just trying to be in it. You want to go to a show at a club and try to get backstage to meet somebody, to see somebody, to rap for them. Like it's that type of grind. So your whole existence is consumed with trying to get put on. I'm gonna get put on. Somebody gonna see me and sign me.
Yeah, serious, eh? Because I guess that's it.
So,
like you don't. There isn't really. I mean, I guess at that time, it's not a lot of other options in terms of.
At that time, there are no other options. Yo, ain't no independence at that time, yo.
Yep.
Like,
Facts.
ain't no independence at that time. That's it, yo.
Yeah, I had just finished having a conversation with a homie of mine where I was talking about like back in the days, the reason that a lot of the guys would like Cool G Rap, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, like when the 90s guys came in, the reason that it was kind of quiet for them is because like back then there was no independent. Like it looked bad, essentially, in the eyes of the public to be independent. Like somebody like Rakim,
you were
Big
a failure.
Daddy Kane,
if you were independent,
you were a failure.
You couldn't make it in the mainstream.
Failure, exactly. So it was just like, nah. So like they kept on waiting for like big deals to come around. And it's just like, well, but now we got young acts that they're signing that are being really successful. Like they're not even looking for an older hip hop act. Like that didn't even exist back then because it was so fresh
and there was no overseas market, no overseas market for us, none of that, yo.
Yeah. And so they didn't even know what to do, so that's why you would have like a situation where like maybe sometimes some of those old school MCs, like you'd hear them years later and maybe felt like they sounded like they lost a step because like they didn't keep on doing it because they stopped being signed, you know. But like nowadays, like that doesn't really happen. Like guys like Method Man are like rapping into their like into their older age and shit, you know, like this is their career and they make a living off of it. And you get to see like an older man, like, you know, still rapping at like a high level and shit like that. And it's still like something that sells. But like back then that didn't exist like that, you know? So like, that's why sometimes those guys would like, you'd hear them and they'd lose a step, you know, because they didn't keep that like blade sharp, you know?
Yo, Dutch, can I interject a little bit there too? Let me add this. Also, that's when the narrative, at the time it was true, but this narrative ran for way too many years and then decades as well. This is where the narrative of hip hop being a young man's game was created during those times.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that was when the record label started seeing narrative, narrative.
There's a big time narrative, because they still push it right now.
Facts.
Yeah.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I feel that.
And it's been proven that it's not, you know, because if it was a young man's game, Jay-Z wouldn't be as successful as he is in this stage of his career.
Like Freddie Gibbs popped off old. Like he's late 30s.
2 Chainz popped off old. Like there's a lot of rappers
like Jay-Z and DMX are what, 27?
The Griselda guys aren't like young bucks.
No, they're like early 30s when they pop off.
That's part of like, exactly. So like, you know, like the point is that and you see success of a lot of these rappers now in their old age. And like I said, Jay-Z being a prime example of it. Like Jay-Z keeps on blazing a trail for everybody, you know?
Absolutely.
And like essentially the older that he gets, and the more relevant he stays as he gets older, it sets a precedence and an example that it can be done for other guys. Like what we said with Slim, where he sees Tech and Steel in his school freestyling. He's like, you know what? Like if you in my school, you right here, you could do it. I could do it.
I could do it too.
Jay-Z's old and being dope and relevant, and it's like it sets the precedence to other people. Like, yo, you could do it. I can do it. You know?
Honestly, though, it does. I like listening to like old guys rapping about old, especially when they rap about like some really like 50-year-old shit, and you're like, bro, I never thought about that because I'm not 50.
Yeah.
All right, but that's where the teaching is supposed to come. And remember, it was always supposed to be about teach. You know, each one teach one. So it got lost a little bit, but like you just said. If the elders are allowed to speak, then the jewel can be passed down to the next generation, which is why it's such a fucked up narrative to say hip hop is a young man's game. Well, yeah, when hip hop was 10 years old, of course. We were all 10 years old. Hip hop ain't 10 no more.
Yeah, exactly.
Hip
hop a grown man now.
Hip hop a grown ass man. Hip hop a grown
ass man. Like, you gotta get out there. You gotta work, baby.
But it's like,
But I think that's where that comes in, right? Like, sorry, Holden, I'm handing right over. But like, I think that's where the narrative comes in. It's that, you know, like they want to set it as that, and so therefore, like,
there's also this like idea that gets really pushed where nobody above the age of 25 gives a shit about music. There's a lot of science when I was younger that would push this narrative. And then Spotify came and taught me that a lot of 50-year-olds are discovering hip-hop and fucks with auto-tune and a lot of shit. Like, you'd be surprised. They're like, yeah, well, I have the Spotify on and I heard the song. And because it got really easy for old people to find new music, I'll be honest, it did have to get easier because old people are not willing to put the effort in to find new music.
No patience.
But destroy the barrier to entry and give them an algorithm that like feeds them new shit, and they will listen to your new song if it shows up on their new shit. Like, absolutely. Like, they'll just be like, I like this. And I have like, because everyone at my day job knows I rap and shit. So everybody that discovers a rap song over the last 8 years has come up to me and told me, and bro, it's all these old people. Old people love discovering new rap songs. They want to, yo, check out this deep jazz fusion New York, like, you know, that kind of shit. But then it'll also be like mainstream shit, like, yo, you listening to 2 Chainz, you know, like you have that moment right next to it, and it's amazing to see. So it's like, not only is it an old man's game, but, and this is across all genres, The consumer is now everyone. Like Spotify's,
Yeah.
19% of people on Spotify are above the age of 55. I didn't even know that till
Yeah.
last week.
I mean, it makes sense, you know, like credit cards and shit, you know.
Right.
Young
Right.
people will fuck up a credit card fast and not give a fuck, you know. Like old people, like I gotta pay my bills, yo, you know.
And old people just like to sync shit up to their car and let it play. You know, like
Let it rock.
Also,
Leave me alone while I drive.
But so that's dope. So you're shopping around all the demos and shit. You're going around, and how does that like play out for you guys? Like actually releasing mixtapes and doing shit like that, or how does it demos? Like how?
We did it. My fault. My apologies. That
No,
good.
you go.
we released a few demos, a few mixtapes before our official album was the one we released on Viper, the 360 deal. But we put out a teaser project, an official teaser project, but it was a mixtape. Prior to that, we put out 2 unofficial mixtapes, and we recorded like 2 demos. So that's 4 or 5 projects before my official debut.
Yeah, that's work though, and I like to emphasize
Plenty
that
of work.
too, because I feel like something that happened in the modern era is the shit that you didn't get documented maybe as well as the one album I could find for the circle that was super easy to find, but everything else that you just mentioned, it's not super easy to find. So when hip hop got documented and a bunch of people everywhere else found it, they found what got like put out, but nobody got the mixtapes. Nobody got all this shit that existed in great abundance that also was part of the grind. So this message wasn't like transmitted as much. So the fact that, and that sounds like it took you a long time to like really,
Yeah, bro.
not just like 5 projects, but like that came out in 2011 according to Spotify. And you're saying
we dropped that in 2011.
You're starting this shit in the late 90s, mid to late 90s?
90s, bro. My official first paid studio session was in 1999. And I was doing it years before that. But my official, like, I'm going to the studio, I'm going to make a record, or we about to get signed. We felt like we had did everything else. We had did all of the groundwork, the footwork. We did the showcases. We did this. We done sat in meetings with people. We sat in certain meetings with certain high-level labels. Well, I won't go into all that, but certain high-level labels. And, we were literally told, I'm going to try to get it verbatim. We were literally told by an exec, I'll tell you off air, Flacko, I'll tell you off air who this is. You'll laugh when I tell you. He said, yo, I love y'all music. I listen to this in my car, but they're not trying to do this at the company. This is what the guy that's here to sit and listen and sign hip hop is telling us.
That's serious though.
And that album is the album. Most of the
that
songs
you put out on Viper.
Most of those songs are the songs that you heard on the 360 deal.
You know what's amazing about that project? It sounds good today. Because I didn't hear it back then. I only heard it in July 2021. And I'm like sitting there going, yo, this is nice. This fucking sounds good.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. We put some, that was, the mindset was, and I told you the time frame that you're talking about, right? Our mindset was, this might be our only one, yo. So we swinging for the fences. Yeah, everything we got, we throwing it there.
There's a saying, right? Like your first takes your whole life to make your first album.
There you go. And it's in between the white lines.
We all like that first one is really like, hold on, everything before this was play.
That's serious.
This is the first real one.
That's like a decade of just like grinding it out and like just pushing shows and.
Bro, I'm over 20 years in the music industry, bro. Over 20 years. I'm over 20 years. And if I have a hit record tomorrow, practically 95% of the people that'll be open and popping because of that record, they would just have heard it literally when that record goes big. That's just how it is. That's the game we play.
But that's like, and I like that you said that again, man, because I'm really into like finding like the real knowledge of this shit. Like, yo, I'm 33. I've been in this for about 10 years now. Like you start asking yourself big time questions. Like, is it worth it?
You cannot do this if you're doing it for money, accolades, or fame. You
Right.
have to do this for the love, because that's the only thing that's gonna keep you from doing it. When you keep getting doors shut in your face, when people kept telling you, nah, your sound ain't right, your look ain't right, nah, you and your man, y'all too old, or nah, your lyrical content is too complicated. Like, I done heard everything that your favorite rappers, that the story that Dave told, I've heard all that shit. I've heard all that shit. Dumb it
Yeah.
down, change your look up, put on some tight jeans, shave your goatee because you got, or if you don't want to dye your goatee, shave it all. All of this shit. We done heard all of that. We done heard all of that, bro.
Somebody said shave your goatee.
Niggas said they told me because it makes me look old because you can see the grays in my joint. I'm like, well, considering the content that I talk about and the message and the seriousness and how I want people to take my shit, I say, yeah, I want to be known as a mature MC. I don't want to. I'm not no little kid. I'm a grown ass man, yo. I have a little kid for a child. I'm a grown man, so I'm not one of these dudes that's tripped out over their age. Like, I'm 45 at the end of this year, bro, and I'm nice. I'm still nice. I tear one of these young boys apart, yo. If we had to go there, so I'm not one of these dudes that trip out.
So that's why I like doing this, because yo, at a point, like, it's hard to find the truth of what it is to be in this game. And the other side of it is you're 20 years deep, you're still doing it, you have a whole thing set up, you literally going and making old people's lives better and shit. Yo, when I see that, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes more sense. That's it. That's the beauty.
I'm gonna show y'all the back of this. I'm gonna show y'all the back of this truck. We almost done.
That's amazing.
I've been slacking right now. I'm only holding the bags. I normally be packing. Slacking right now. I'm getting, and I got a dirty look. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
We appreciate you being here with us, though, for real.
Because, nah, it's all good, bro. This is dope. It's helping the time pass. Definitely helping the time pass.
But yeah, it's just inspiring to hear all of this too. So you put in all this work. How do you get connected to it? I'll be honest, I didn't know what Viper Records was until I fucking went to the website today. That was the first time I really ever thought about the name of that. So how do you get connected to Viper Records and all that?
Now that is where Big Brother Poison Pen comes in, because me and Pen, we from Brooklyn, and we had mutual friends at a job I was working at back in probably 98, 99, around that time. And when I found out, who he was, whatever, I was working with Breeze Everflowing at the job at the time. Breeze is another independent legend in New York City.
Yeah, we had the pleasure of talking to him.
We had the pleasure of interviewing both them gentlemen. You know what I mean?
Those are the big bros. Those are the big bros right there.
So it's beautiful to hear you connect the pieces.
There you go. So, and Breeze was at this time, Breeze was actually blowing up on Funkmaster Flex's what was that shit called? DFX on MTV. It was a freestyle show that he had.
Yeah.
So Breeze was like the running champ for however many weeks in a row at the time. So once again, my real life intersects with my dreams. It's like, oh wow, this nigga is on MTV every day. All right, so so now me and Penn talking, and me and Penn doing all this stuff, and me and Penn is connecting. We getting closer. So Penn is how all right. What about these right here? Always leave it. So Penn is the reason I stopped trying to chase a mainstream dream and I started doing an independent situation, because that's what Penn was doing. Nah, son, you don't get nobody your money, son. Nah, son, you're not Penn. So
I already know. So I'm smiling.
He doing all of that. So I'm like, all right, this how we doing it. Oh, it's an independent grind. We could do it like this. Okay. Then that's how you fast forward and you meet Tech. And now you go through a different sort of process now, because Tech is already on by this point. Like, he already doing this thing. He already touring. He already making a super name. I think at this point, Volume 2 is out. So Dance with the Devil was already a cult classic. So his second project is out now, going crazy, and we run around with this dude. So now it's the realization of, oh man, all these years I was doing X, Y, and Z. I'm actually out here with somebody doing it without the help of a label, without this. So now my whole mindset done got flipped upside down. This is why we named our album 360 Deal. I had no concept of what a 360 deal was until got with homie, started doing a little bit of knowledge, and now we know, what that's about. So that's why we named our record 360 Deal. So, you know what I'm saying? So that was that portion. Like, stop trying to chase that mainstream dream and just started realizing with the way the world had opened up over the past 15 or so years, you could do it yourself now. So that's when that whole grind started. Now I'm gonna do it myself. We don't need nobody. We do it ourselves.